Have you ever wondered what makes a leader truly great? I mean, the leaders that we talk about after we're done being led with them, the leaders that we talk about when we're home for the holidays or over the weekend or with our friends just hanging out, and we talk about how great our leader is. What makes that person that way? It's not about the title, it's not about what they do, but something's different about them. Here's what's different: they focus on different things. They focus on the people that they lead. In this video, we'll explore how first time leaders can start their journey by focusing on their people, building trust, and helping their team achieve their goals by focusing on the people, not on the product. So let's kick it off with: how do we understand leadership? How do we define leadership? Simon Sinek, I think, says it best. He says, leadership is not about being in charge, it's about taking care of those in your charge. And I could not agree more. If you think about why you entered leadership, chances are you were really good at doing something for a long period of time. So good that the people up top saw you and what you were doing and said, you know what? We need them to teach more people how to do the task that they're doing the way that they're doing it. And so they tapped you and said, we want you to be a leader. We want you to lead people in doing whatever the thing was that you're doing, whether it's sales or marketing or advertising or operations or installation or whatever the thing was that you were really good at. They said, hey, Jim, Mary, Susan, Bob, we need you to train the people to do the thing that you're doing really well so that we can have more people doing that thing very well. You're really good at it, so you took the job. The challenge is most of your job now is not focused on doing the thing. It is focused on leading the people that will be doing the thing. So when leaders focus on their people, they create an environment where everybody thrives. And most leaders make this mistake early on. They just try to teach people how to do things. But the reality is, when we understand that we're leading the people and we understand people are messy and they come with baggage and they come with history and they come with stresses and they come with work outside or life outside of work, when we understand that, it allows us to focus on the right things. And the first thing we got to focus on when we understand that we're here to serve our people first is we got to get their trust. So, listen, trust is the foundation of any successful team. Without it, communication breaks down, productivity suffers. Often you'll find people leaving organizations. It's said that people don't quit jobs, people quit their leaders. And a lot of that reasoning is because they just don't trust them. So, while trust is really important, most first time leaders have a tough time building that trust. Why? Because I just got to know these people a lot of the time. I just stepped into the organization. I don't know who they are. They don't know who I am, and I need to perform quickly. But while I need to perform quickly, I also need to build trust quickly. So how am I going to do that? There's a couple ways that can build trust right out of the gate. So the first one is be transparent. Share openly, honestly about yourself. I got to tell you that one of the big secrets that I've used every time I've taken over new teams, whether it's my first time in leadership or my first time leading a team in a new market or my first time leading leaders, being open and honest and often self-deprecating helps them realize, hey, they're not just trying to put on a front. They actually are a person. Transparency shows my team that I trust them with important and sometimes personal information. When we moved from Florida to Texas to take my most recent leadership role, I told people right out of the gate that I was very cautious about leaving Florida. That was my home state, and we were facing some things that we were not really comfortable with, and we didn't really know how to navigate it. And I was very transparent and honest about our journey from moving to a state that we had never lived in before. And it just showed them that I was human. It showed them that we were struggling as a family at some points to do the things we needed to do to build a life in Texas. And it allowed them to lower their walls and be a human with me too, so that I could understand the real person. So transparency, really, really important. The second thing is follow through. Always do what you say you're going to do. And this sounds like a line that, probably your grandfather told you, is like, your word is your bond. And while it's a cheesy old line, it could not be more powerful when we as leaders decide When I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. When I tell you I'm going to return an email, I'm going to return it. When I tell you I'll call you after lunch, I actually call you after lunch. When I tell you I'll call that client on your behalf, you actually call the client. It seems really simple, but I have experienced this time and time again where most leaders in the marketplace do not do that. Most people in the marketplace do not do that. And it's almost become this thing that people expect to get kind of 50-50 results in terms of follow through. People, and I've even heard it where people are like, yeah, I'm just so bad I'm just so bad at returning calls, or I'm so bad at remembering to do this or that, or I'm so bad at following through on some things. And it's almost like an accepted trait. So if you as a leader decide I'm following through, I'm going to do what I tell you I'm going to do, that reliability builds trust. If you make commitments and stick to them, the trust skyrockets quicker than you could think. And the third way you could immediately build trust with your team, show empathy. People have lives. Understanding and acknowledging their feelings and their perspectives and their situations allows them to understand, like, all right, cool. Like I can be expected to do great things at work, but I can also be understood when life throws curveballs at me. That empathy creates a bond that's stronger than you could realize. And it just shows you care about them. Shows you care about them as individuals, and it shows you care about them and their families that are around them more than you care about their performance. And that goes such a long way. And so now as you're building trust, the next thing I want to do as a first-time leader, whether first time in leadership ever or first time leading this team or this team of leaders or whatever it is, the next thing I want to do is empower my team. I want to encourage them to make decisions, encourage them to get creative, encourage them to solve problems, encourage them to come up with solutions on their own, encourage them even like mistakes aren't fatal. Encouraging autonomy allows them to foster growth and confidence in their job as time goes on. And it allows them to feel empowered, knowing that they're just not here to take orders, but they're here to actually contribute to the overall well-being of the team. The next thing is I gotta provide resources. I gotta provide support. This seems very basic, but providing the necessary resources and being just there for them to guide them goes such a long way. And the last thing, when I'm trying to empower my team, is I gotta recognize them. I have to recognize and reward every chance that I get. So many times when we're stepping into leadership, it feels like we're drinking from a fire hose, and we forget to recognize somebody doing something so simple. I was talking to a buddy of mine just yesterday, and what we were talking about was leadership is a lot like parenting in a lot of ways. Parents, if they're smart, try to look for and catch their kids doing things well and overhyping those things versus just getting on them when they do things bad. And so that recognition and reward system psychologically helps the child want that attention more. So they want to do the right things more again. Same thing happens with adults. We're not that dissimilar. Recognizing boosts the morale immediately and just motivates your team to continue to perform well. All right. So the next thing as I'm jumping in is I got to set clear goals. Clarity is kindness. The more clear I am on what my asks are of my team, the more chance they have of actually hitting them. So goal setting, when I'm doing it, I want to be clear, but I want to be clear from front to back. And here's what I mean by that. I want to collaborate with my people, involve them in setting their goals. After all, it's their goal. It's their goal. Zig Ziglar said this so long ago, and it couldn't be more true. If you help enough people get what they want, you automatically get what you want. But you actually have to get the goal that's theirs, not the goal that they're telling you because you're corporate or leadership now. What do they actually want to do? Collaborative goal setting allows them and ensures them that the goals are meaningful, that they're aligned with the team and the organization, but they mean something to the person. That's super important. The next thing as I'm setting clear goals is like, I want it to be SMART. So SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So specific means I wanna, if you're a sales leader, I want to hit quota this year. What does that mean? How many new units do you need to hit that revenue goal? How many appointments do you need to go to? You need to be very specific in what you're going through. Measurable, pretty self-explanatory. Achievable is an art form. Sometimes your people that will report to you say, I want to sell X, or I want to implement X, or I want to increase efficiency by X. And you know they have that goal could be stretched a little bit. There's an art to that conversation. And we'll get into that in other videos down the road. Relevant means, hey, it actually is tied to the job. So an example of a non-relevant goal might be, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. Awesome. But if I'm leading you and our job is to increase the efficiency of the HVAC technicians in an HVAC organization, like losing 20 pounds really is irrelevant. So making sure it's relevant is really important. And then time bound is very simple. A goal without a time frame is just a dream, just a wish, right? So setting smart goals provides some clarity and direction, and it just makes it easier for you as the leader and for your team to understand what's expected and how to achieve it. And then the check-in piece is the last piece of setting goals. Regular check-ins. I like to do weekly one-on-ones with my team. How are we tracking? And then it just provides me opportunities to address any challenges early on. Okay, the last thing we're going to go through in this video for you as a first-time leader just taking over this team is you got to make sure you're developing your people. So many times we step into leadership roles and we forget that people like to be developed too. So I want to identify their strengths. I want to identify areas for them to grow. I want to identify what they want to do maybe after this job is over. Maybe they want to move on to leadership like I did. Maybe they want to move on to operations. Maybe they want to move on to a different company. Maybe they want to start their own organization. Understanding what they actually want to do and then identifying the strengths that line up with their goals allows you to tailor your support to their needs and desires. The next thing I want to do is offer training and development. One of the best examples I can give here is as I was coming up in my leadership journey, some of the support that a lot of my mentors gave me was just exposure to people that had been going further than I had allowed me to know that I had opportunities to develop and grow. So just exposing them to those opportunities goes such a long way. And then you got to create a safe place to do it. You got to create a safe environment for all this to happen. And the safe environment provides a lot of things, but one of the main things it does is it creates a safe environment for feedback. Encouraging an open dialogue where feedback is welcome allows people to feel like there's an environment for continuous improvement. It strengthens the team dynamic. And it goes back to the transparency piece we kicked it off with. I need to feel safe telling you how I feel, even if it's an uncomfortable conversation. So as we wrap up, this is the main takeaway, some of the main takeaways. Great leaders focus on their people. We started with it. We're going to finish with it. They build trust. They empower their teams. They set clear goals and they support personal development. Listen, I hope this video helped you start implementing these strategies today and watch how your team flourishes under your leadership. Leadership is an awesome journey and it's one worth taking. But by focusing on your people, their needs, you're not just leading a team, you're building a community of success. Hey, if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be putting out videos every single week to help you, the first-time leader, accelerate your growth far beyond what you could ever have imagined. And we want to give you the tools to get there. We believe in you. Go lead.